Welcome to Forum 360 on PBS Western Reserve. I'm Stephanie York, your host today. Thank you for joining us for a global outlook with a local view. What's the buzz around Akron? It's Akron Honey, of course. Brent Wesley, beekeeper and founder of Akron Honey, took 2 blighted vacant city lots and created 2 urban honeybee apiaries, making Akron Honey a model of sustainability. Akron Honey raises honeybees in Akron's neighborhoods. They harvest only their surplus of honey in small batches without filtering or straining. Why is this news? What's the buzz? Well, we'll find out today. Thank you, Brent Wesley, the keeper, as I'm told, for joining us today.
I was waiting for you to say that, Wesley
the keeper.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Of course. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you ended up as Wesley the keeper?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So back in like 2010, 2011, 2013, I was working full time with Verizon Corporate, and I was with them like for 15 years, really long time. And there was this vacant lot around the corner from our house, and this is like 2013. And I don't know, I just bought it, and like, well, here's the thing, being married, we bought it, right? So I had to ask for. So I asked, I got to show my wife.
You're a good man.
My wife, it's a team sport.
My
wife let me buy it, and and then off we went. I just like Googled how to keep bees. A lot of folks did like classes and stuff. I'm just like a hands-on learner, so. I just Googled how to keep bees and just started harvesting honey, and off we went.
Okay, so I got to ask you, what was the first moment that made you say, I want to have a beehive?
All right, that's a really good question. A lot of interviews don't ask that question, but I'm going to answer. Can I answer that real quick?
Please, all right, please, so I need to know.
There are 2 things that happened.
Okay.
So former life, current life, musician as well. It was Wesley Brighton, the Highlights, and then Wesley Brighton, the Honeytones.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that?
I
don't know if
do.
You did. Okay.
But, I've heard of that. I didn't know it was you.
Yeah, so it's the same person.
Got it now. It's
I don't
all
know what
clicking.
Camera like that. There you go.
And the Honeytones, I remember that.
And the Honeytones, exactly. So back when we were playing out a lot, my guitar player brought some honey to rehearsal once, and it was like from his beekeeper friends.
Okay.
And the thing is, when your beekeeper friends bring you honey, it's like the rawest stuff. It's like they just pull it out, and it was super raw. And he didn't want it because there's a lot of, he said there's bee parts and stuff in there. I was like, okay. So I tasted it. I was like, holy crap, this is like really, really good.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right. So then like about 2 weeks later, my wife and I went down to Amish country.
Yes.
I think it was Berlin.
Yep.
And they had this honey on tap system.
Ooh.
And it was nice and warm. It was like delicious. And you gotta understand, those are the first instances in which I had honey that wasn't from the shelves. So I'm like, all these things are happening at one time. Like, I'm getting this experience with honey, and then we're buying this vacant lot. And so it all clicked. I'm like, okay, we got to do honeybees. Because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, maybe urban farming, whatever, but like honeybees. And that was kind of it.
That was it.
That was the thing, yeah.
So what made you think you could make honey? Like you could actually make a business out of this?
I actually didn't.
You didn't. So you just said, okay, we're gonna try this bee thing and see what happens, just for fun.
Yeah, I just didn't want to have to buy honey again. Like it wasn't supposed to be a business.
Okay.
It was just gonna here's the thing. I intended on working with Verizon for the rest of my life. I was making good money.
Sure.
Benefits were stacking up. It was great life. The family's growing. My wife could stay at home, and it was really good. And I intended on staying there. However, I guess the way in which it turned into a business is I was just listening to what people were saying. They were saying, let me buy that, let me buy that. So now you have like kind of proof of concept. People are able and willing to buy your stuff, whatever that is.
Right.
And then, I don't know, I just kind of followed that path. I just kind of kept on doing what they were asking us to do. We need to buy more honey. So we just started getting more hives. And like I know you mentioned in the intro that there were 2 vacant lots, and that's true. The first one was in 2013. Second one we bought was in East Akron in 2015. So we just kept on doing what our consumers, which are now known as our honey loves, we're doing what our honey loves were asking us to do. Just listen to them, and they like provided us the path.
So do you have 2 now, or even more?
Oh, we got 2.
Okay.
The very business plan, the business model has evolved. from just harvesting our own honey to partnering with bigger, not even bigger, but other local beekeepers who can, have 500, 1,000 hives.
Oh, wow.
And we can tap their hives, get the raw wildflower honey, and then we can flavor, because we're really in the flavor game.
Yeah, so we got to talk about that too.
And I didn't,
of course.
Look, we have this bare table. I didn't bring any honey. I'm sorry about that.
I was hoping for some samples.
That's my bad. I didn't want to make this thing about like, oh, here's these products. Like, I just wanted to just shoot it up.
Sure,
and just talk.
all good.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'll expect some later though.
Yeah, you'll get some later. I should have. That's my bad. That's my bad.
So tell me more about bees. We've heard a lot about how bees are becoming extinct. Is that true?
I don't believe it.
Okay.
No, I think that honeybees have never had a problem other than a human problem.
Okay.
Humans are interesting. And one day we'll say, oh, we're going to save the bees and save the world. But then on the other day, we'll say...
Calling the exterminator.
Yeah, calling the exterminator.
Because there's a hive that's on your tree that you don't want.
Exactly, because it makes your life inconvenient. Like our lives inconvenient. I'm human too, so I'm gonna say our lives inconvenient.
Right.
So like, it's not that they're going extinct. It's that we are just having our way with the world. That's kind of that's the problem. I mean, they didn't have a problem. They've been around for billions of years. They didn't have a problem until we came along.
Right. We're
kind of new to the scene,
Sure. So, how did you even know what to do?
The internet.
Did you just Google?
Internet.
Internet
is an
that's
experience.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
You had no bee experience when you started this, just none.
No, I actually, just the opposite. I remember it was like 2009, my wife and I went to Home Depot because we were building a pergola. And, well, actually, I built a pergola. And now we're trying to figure out plants that could grow up the pergola, like vines.
So we have that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's nice and pretty and makes it homey and everything.
Honeysuckle works. And
Exactly. And now I remember that's what it was a young lady who was helping us out. She's like, okay, we have this kind of honeysuckle. We're like, oh, honeysuckle. And they're like, okay, it'll attract bees. And I'm like, no. I literally said no. That's how much I did not know about. That's how little I knew about honeybees.
You're like, no bees.
I know, because I'm gonna get stung. I knew nothing. I knew nothing at all.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just learned everything as I went along. Like, I'm the type of person, you give me a little nugget and I'll figure things out. I'd rather it be like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are afraid of bees, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
Should they be?
I mean, unless they're allergic to them. But honestly,
do they like come after you?
Nah,
do
they don't come at you.
Do they only sting if they're threatened?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah, and even if they're threatened, they don't always sting you. You know what I mean? Like, they'll give you warnings. They're like, flying, they'll headbutt you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and they'll just like let you know, like, get out of here, get out of here. And sometimes they'll release pheromone that kind of smells like a little bit like banana-ish.
Oh.
And it's a trigger for the rest of the hive to get more defensive.
Interesting.
And if you've been stung before and smelled that, psychologically, anytime you smell that, you start feeling stings. So like, that's another part of their defense mechanism where they'd rather not sting you, they'd rather you just go away.
Is it true that if they sting you, they die?
Yeah. If they sting us, they die because their barbs get stuck in there and they pull it out, which detaches from their body, and then they die. They're very selfless, So they'll die. But if they can sting other insects multiple times.
Oh, they can, just not people.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Bees, wasps. I mean, are they all related, or?
I mean, yeah, they're kind of related. I'm not a bee expert on that. I know there's a relation. There's some sort of relation amongst the species. Yeah.
So tell us about your company.
Yeah.
Tell us about your company. You're the CEO, the beekeeper. Is this a family business? Do you have other people that are invested in it? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's a family business.
Awesome. And you have a big family?
You got a big family, so they're growing into it.
Good.
It started, it started as a passion for me doing my thing, but like everyone else is starting to grow into it. It's pretty obvious to see if you look at our socials. Akron Honey on Instagram, usually that's the one that's most lit, and you'll see family members pop up, and they're in production, and they're doing, pouring honey, and then they're folding these beautiful, super soft sweatshirts and putting the bow around them and everything. But like our brand, look, I'll tell you about our brand. Like our brand we're a super fun and delicious honey brand. and we're really led by like flavor.
Right. We're going to get into that.
Yeah, it's like so we're
Yeah.
crazy different. It's not about the jar of honey. It's not. It's about your food. When I'm saying food, I'm talking about food, beverage, like tea, your toast, your biscuits, whatever.
Right.
And we look at that, and then we create flavors that taste really, really good with those things.
And you say it's not about the jar, but I hear and I've seen your jar is pretty sleek looking.
They look good. don't
Yeah,
they?
they're kind of like modern, like
Yeah.
a modern mason jar, but they're like tall and thin.
Tall and thin, like a little modern designs, kind of like
Yeah.
you got it's grocery store versus IKEA.
Yeah, and like you could like display these, right? Because they look really cool.
Yeah, that's a part of the design concept is that we want it to look so beautiful that folks keep it on their cupboard or
Right.
keep it on their counter
Yep.
rather than their cupboard, and they take pictures of it and put it on Instagram and
Perfect.
Etsy and Pinterest and all that stuff.
And so where do you sell this?
All over the place now. It used to be before. So just for reference, I jumped into this. Although it's been a side hustle for many years since 2013. I
Right.
jumped into this full time 2021.
Okay.
It was a full time brand 2021. Before that,
So it's only
we
been a
were-
couple years that it's been full time.
Yeah, and we went from before full time, like pretty much one distribution point, like Northside Marketplace, to
That's where I saw you
that's
first.
where you saw us
Yes.
first, right? Because they have the incubator there. That was big news. eBay came there
Absolutely.
and all that
Yep.
stuff. But since then, we've been, you can find us at a lot of different restaurants, like
Wow.
Farmer's Rail, the Eye
Love
Opener,
the Farmer's
the
Rail.
Angelos,
Yeah.
Dracy's up in Cleveland,
Right.
Cordelia. We're that really awesome new. It's been rated, I think, one of the best restaurants in the entire country, and they just opened. So like we're on their menus. Grocery stores, like a lot of grocery stores have. We have a lot of
Nice.
success there. So Giant Eagle Market District, Giant Eagle now,
Wow.
Heinen's here, Chicago, Whole Foods here.
How do you
and
keep up with this production?
I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing. I've learned from the honeybees.
Yeah.
They're super efficient. So being around them so much really influenced me to design
Wow.
a model that also works as efficiently as they do. So, it doesn't take, let's go back a couple years when we first started and into where we ended up now. I told you talked about how many grocery stores we're
Right.
in. We got there with one person, besides myself, one person in production working 8 to 15 hours a week.
Wow.
That's it.
That's it.
So we're able, and the reason why is because our game is looking at the flavor in your food. So we infuse our honey for flavor that'll taste really awesome with your stuff. So our process isn't labor intensive. It really
Okay.
isn't. So my game really is like a marketing game. Because one of the problems we're solving is most people are used to honey brands that are just kind of like normal. They got a normal story.
Yeah.
They're in a little bear.
Right.
Maybe they're in a glass bottle, but it's like normal.
Right.
We come across as exciting. We come across as like that brand that's life.
Right.
And that's what and that's the fun part. If I were doing anything else, I wouldn't want to do it, honestly.
Right.
I'd find something else to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to remind our viewers and those who may have joined late that we are here with Wesley the beekeeper.
Yeah.
Wesley the keeper, founder of Akron Honey, and we are buzzing about honeybees. How Brent was able to start a small business and grow it, and how his passion for learning and sustainability has helped Akron in immeasurable ways. Now, you don't just have this business, you're also enthusiastic about teaching about
Yeah,
honeybees, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, just-
sustainability and things like that.
Yeah, well, here's the idea with anyone who works with us, and especially myself. If you're rolling with Akron Honey, if you're on the team, whatever, you have to get used to the way of lifting as you climb. So
Okay.
we're naturally climbing. We're getting better and better, but we don't want to just like leave people behind. In the school system, for instance,
Okay.
you mentioned teaching.
Yes.
Yeah, we've constantly been in the public school system, teaching about
That's awesome.
honeybees to kids, and it's really purposeful too, because a lot of the kids that you find that don't know anything about, first of all, a lot of the kids don't even know where food comes from. They didn't when we started.
Sure.
And a lot of those kids are black and brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So they look like me. They went through the things that I did, and they don't know that stuff. And so to have someone come in, especially someone who looks like them,
Right.
come in and say, hey, here's this other world. And by the way, like you can do this too, is really purposeful. And it's really kind of, I'd hope it would be moving. I'm trying not to sound
It
like
is.
conceited
It is
about
moving.
it. Like
So here we
yeah.
are in Black History Month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Talking to a successful, homegrown, African-American man that started this business, didn't know a darn thing about bees. Started this business and
Yeah,
now is
yeah.
in all the groceries and restaurants around town. And,
Yeah.
And you're teaching other Black and brown students, kids, families, how to do this.
Yeah, and I remember, here's the thing, like, you know, you and I were talking before this,
Yeah.
you know, where you know, I grew up, went from the east side of Cleveland, like in the hood,
Right.
to the country in Aurora. Back in country, I'm saying country because it was in the 80s.
Right.
Although I just shaved, I don't look like I was born in the 80s, it's probably the 90s, yeah, you're right.
Your baby face.
But,
Yeah.
you know, when I was in Aurora back then, you know, it really wasn't diverse. It probably isn't that diverse now, but it
Right.
really wasn't diverse back then. So like, I didn't see anyone who was like me doing these things. And the importance and the significance of that is if you don't see people who look like you, talk like you, walk like you, you just won't take your shot.
Okay.
You won't shoot your shot because you don't realize it's a shot that you can take. So when
Wow.
kids see
Wow.
someone like me do that, oh, I can keep bees too.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. And it's not just like, you know, Black and brown kids. Like
Sure.
I remember we did like this Girl Scout troop, and one of the girls was really like afraid. Like I brought like a hive in that didn't make it through the winter. So it had dead bees in there.
Right.
And so we opened it up, and she was just looking through, she was scared, but by the end, she's like, hey, can I take a couple home to dissect them? So like you're turning on lights.
Yeah.
You're turning on lights, and that's really important, you know? It's really important that we don't forget to you know, give back, I guess. Give back, but then like be there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And you're there for the community.
Which is, you know, and that's a part of our strategy too. Like we could have taken our business and gone up to Cleveland, we can have gone somewhere else,
Absolutely.
but we invested our, you know, a portion of our life savings in a commercial building right in Highland Square so that we can create this new model of honey
awesome.
experience, but be accessible as well.
So in this building, do you
Yeah.
have specialized equipment?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
You know, I like that. I like
don't
that
know.
like shiny stuff. You know, the stainless steel tanks. It pretty much looks like a really small
Okay.
brewery right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing a lot of upgrades over the next 2 years, where it's gonna look like a larger brewery. So adding garage doors to the front, new flooring, knocking out
Nice.
some walls, creating an outdoor space, like a courtyard around the building, and possibly even dipping into a food venture.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the flavoring.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah.
So I know honey is honey, just
Yeah.
plain old honey.
That's in Western culture. That's most
it.
people are like that. Like honey.
I put it in my tea.
And it's tea, toast, biscuits. Top
That's it.
3 ways.
So tell me how else I can use it.
So you can. Here's the thing. We don't want to challenge our honey loves. We want to enhance how you're using your stuff. So if you use
Yes.
your stuff, honey with tea, great. But just try this bourbon barrel tea or bourbon barrel honey with that tea. So we create, like I said, we create flavors based on what people eat. So we
Okay.
have 4 flavors right now.
Okay,
So
let's
we
hear
got the traditional raw wildflower. It's nothing
Okay.
surprising, just really, really good honey. Everyone is familiar with it, raw wildflower. Got
Okay.
it. But then we have bourbon barrel honey, which came about as a collaboration between us and Cleveland Whiskey, where they cut down their barrels for us, and we
Okay.
infuse those in our honey for a matter of days.
So you use the parts of the barrel?
Yeah, so the flavor
Awesome.
isn't
It's
in
like
the alcohol. It's
in the oaky or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm really kicking myself. We should have had a honey tasting live, but it's
No,
okay.
no,
It's okay.
it's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna go taste it.
So we got, in addition to that, we have hibiscus honey. A lot of folks
yeah.
were like, yo, you need a
Hibiscus,
fruity
yeah.
flavor. So we said,
For sure.
okay, we got a hibiscus. We just infused hibiscus flowers in our raw wildflower, and it turns it nice, dark and purple and tangy and fruity. It's like really, really good.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for those hotheads, people love like spicy stuff.
Right.
And I'm not
So
one of
what
them.
is this one?
It's habanero hot honey. It's habanero hot honey.
They
so it's
do
like a slow
hot,
burn.
yeah.
It's
you
a
might
beautiful
put it
slow
on
burn.
like fried chicken and stuff.
Yes.
That's what I could do. That's what I would use it for.
People, this is what folks use our habanero for. They do, pizza's a big trend. If you like vegetables,
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts, carrots.
Oh, sounds amazing because I like hot.
Yeah, cauliflower.
Sounds wonderful. And chicken dishes. I would put it on my meat. I'm sorry. I
No.
I would. I would.
You're right. You're right amongst the top honey loves. Trust
Yeah,
me. That's
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
doing that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So if I have a beehive on my property and I don't want it there, should I call the exterminator or Or should I call a beekeeper to come get it?
I would just call a beekeeper because we'll come out and get that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody on my team. Like I'm not in the bee yard. I used to be in the bee yard all the time.
I figured you started it from scratch, so you had to be out there.
Yeah, but I've grown a team now, so I have someone keeping our bees for us.
Good.
For our urban honey. So just as far, and I should probably clarify. We have 2 different product lines right now. We've got urban honey, which that comes from our lots.
Yes.
And then we have our flavor profile, which consists of the 4 flavors we just talked about. So just FYI, I know we didn't talk about that. So if y'all listening, that's what it is. And by this time, you'll probably have found out that we're working on other things as well, new flavors and new product lines.
So if we call a beekeeper to come get the hive, what do they do with that?
They just the hive
just
is
relocate
usually,
them somewhere?
Yeah. So it's usually a swarm that made a hive somewhere, and then we just come and knock them get them in a box and just take off. And
you wear spacesuits?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to when you're. Did you write that down?
Spacesuits. I did not write that down.
Off the top of your head, you just said that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just props. All right.
Right? Don't you have the full gear?
Yeah. So like it looks like a dirty spacesuit. Yeah. So. We don't have to wear that though when we're doing like capturing a swarm because swarms have nothing to protect. They haven't established a home yet. They're just in transit, and so like
So they don't feel threatened.
Nah, they have no babies to protect. So honeybees are very, very programmed.
Okay.
They're super programmed. So like you don't have to worry about like getting stung during a swarm. I have a friend, Emily Mueller. She had Mueller Honeybee Rescue. She's awesome. Every time she goes in with nothing, and she just like Here's the thing though, I don't like getting stung. I don't like getting stung, and I also realize that we don't know everything about honeybees.
Right.
So I suit up.
Yeah.
I always suit it up.
For sure.
Yeah, I ain't got time for.
So have you seen the Bee movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Is it the greatest?
Why are you asking about the Bee movie?
Because I just thought about you have 5 kids.
Yeah.
It's got to be like their favorite movie.
It is. Every movie's their favorite. It is funny. It's funny. Beekeepers get mad at that stuff though.
Really? Why?
I mean, I don't care.
At the Bee movie?
Yeah, because it's not accurate.
Well,
but I know it's for entertainment, so I don't care.
It cracked me up.
Yeah.
And I learned like how they work together, and I mean, obviously they're working actual jobs, like people jobs, and that's not normal and realistic, but it got me to thinking how they all work together, though, and have their own job amongst the hive.
They all have their own jobs, several jobs usually.
Right. So as ridiculous as they brought it to the most ridiculous amount, that you can think of, there's some bit of truth on how honeybees operate.
They have several jobs, and then they all sound like Jerry Seinfeld. So like, that's the truth. The 2 truths I learned from that movie.
I know absolutely nothing about bees if I'm asking you these questions, right?
It's okay. That's great.
That's why I wanted you here. I wanted to learn about them.
Yeah.
Right. So you have 5 kids. They're all invested in working with you guys?
Yeah. And like, so we have 2 older ones, 15 and 11, 2 girls, and we only planned on those 2. But then, like, my wife and I are getting older, and we're like, oh, we're good. And then we have a son. Oh my gosh, 6 years later, we have a son. Great, Sam, it's a miracle. And then we have twin boys.
Oh boy.
And that's when I literally, as soon as we found out, I called the doctor. I was like, I can't get an appointment. bring your sharpest sword, and do whatever you. So like really, the younger ones are coming up, seeing this whole thing, and,
that's amazing.
And they haven't missed a beat. The older ones, I started doing this when they're like 4 and 1. So they've been around for it, but the boys. I think the boys will probably be way more part of the business than the girls are because it's just their age. I didn't start doing this full time until 2 years ago, so like this is all the boys know.
Right. Anybody, any of your kids allergic to bees that you know of?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's a good thing in your business.
Do
you live next door to the vacant lot?
It's right on the corner.
Okay.
It's literally right around the corner.
So that's pretty awesome. How many employees do you have?
So we got like 1 employee right now.
Okay.
We'll definitely. That's one of our 2023. We have like this list, and it's definitely a hire on a production manager. The production is pretty freaking easy, but like we need someone to do that so that I can free myself up to go do other things, maybe develop new product lines. Like we stumbled upon making this sweet hibiscus tea after we make our hibiscus honey. We were left with buckets of hibiscus flowers soaked in honey. And so we just brewed it, right?
Yeah.
And then we thought that we were on the verge of a really awesome hibiscus tea, which we were, but then we didn't realize that the chemical composition was actually creating a situation where fermentation was going to happen.
Geez.
So you got this beautiful, sparkling hibiscus beverage now that we have that probably has the same properties as like kombucha, but it tastes really good. So,
wow.
we're 2023.
So there's a science behind all this too.
Yeah, there's certain acids in honey
Yeah.
that are the same acids that are, found in the fermentation process of beer and wine and things like that.
So like 10 years ago, would you ever think you'd be sitting here talking about the science behind honey and the acids and the composition and the mind blown, right?
I thought I'd be talking about cell phones and stuff.
Right? Can you hear me now?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So, I want to thank you, Brent, for a great discussion about Akron Honey.
Thank you.
We now know that Akron Honey is a company inspired from your passion to learn, grow, and create. You have not only helped in the effort to save our honeybees, which are not probably going to be extinct anytime soon, but you have created a truly great product, all while teaching others, our youth and the community in particular, how to be good stewards of our environment. You are a model of I can't even say that word. Why did I write it?
Ingenuity?
Ingenuity.
I didn't even see. I knew you were talking about.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that can and has inspired others to be themselves, be compassionate, and be good. I'm Stephanie York. Thank you for joining us today on Forum 360 for a global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.